Hare Krishna. We don't have time because we don't make time for time saving activities. So we often live in a schedule, in a culture which is overstressed, overworked, overscheduled. We always feel that we don't have time. While it is true that all of us have only 24 hours and many times 24 hours seem woefully short, still we need to know that there are time saving activities, and if we don't make time for time saving activities, naturally we won't have time. Now what do we mean by a time saving activity? Usually we hear about time saving devices, where something would take you 1 hour earlier. If you use this device, it will take you half an hour. Will save half an hour. So we talk about time saving devices, but time saving activity means that actually there are certain activities which save our time, not by, I'm not talking about something which enable some training which enables us to do things faster, but we're talking about something that consumes our time, and that is thoughts, desires, passions. So emotions, and when our thoughts, desires and emotions are unstreamlined, are unregulated, then they take us in any and every direction, and they consume our time in disproportionate magnitudes. So for example, if a person is having a weakness for television, and then say some program starts off on TV, and then the person starts watching it, or nowadays if we consider internet browsing, so we start browsing one site and second site and third site and fourth site and fifth site, and by the end of it all we find that we have actually wasted several hours on surfing on the net. So just as we might surf physically on the net, and basically we are there being led by our thoughts. One thought is leading to the other, to the third, to the fourth, and we are just getting caught and dragged here and there by our thoughts. But similarly, we may also be dragged within our mind. So the mind has different, just like there are different websites which you might link through the internet, and our thoughts get linked to this and to that and to that and that. And as we get linked to these various thoughts, we get dragged here and there and everywhere, and we end up feeling miserable, we end up feeling frustrated, we end up feeling annoyed, irritated, exasperated, and thus we can't move onwards in our life because we waste time. These thoughts within waste our time. So suppose somebody sees some obscene image on a internet site or some site somewhere, and that image gets glued to the mind, and that consumes, it triggers desire, it triggers feelings, it triggers thoughts, and one gets mentally locked onto that image and is not able to think about anything else. Now that takes so much time. So when we practice meditation, when we strive to be conscious of Krishna, this purifies us. And when we become purified, that means these impure thoughts, emotions, desires, which unnecessarily consume our time, they start going away. And the more they go away, the more we can become focused and productive. So in that sense, meditation on Krishna is an extremely potent time-saving activity. So Krishna talks about his how prashanta manasam hyenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaiti shanta rajasam brahma bhutam akalmasham. So he says prashanta manasam hyenam, that by the practice of meditation the mind will become prashanta, it will become completely peaceful. Yoginam sukham uttamam, the yogi experiences great happiness. Upaiti shanta rajasam, that the yogi experience becomes shanta, becomes very peaceful. Upaiti shanta brahma bhutam akalmasham, brahma bhutam, that one becomes realizes one's spiritual identity. So to the extent we meditate on our spiritual identity and strive to live according to our spiritual nature, to that extent, and the way to do this is not just by intellection but by meditation. Not just we think that I am soul, but we actually practice meditation, meditate on spiritual sound vibration, on the holy name, on sacred chants, which raise our consciousness to the spiritual level. And the more our consciousness is raised to the spiritual level, the more our mind becomes pure. And thus meditation is actually a time saving activity. So if we give time for this time saving activity of meditation, then we will find that we will have time. The time which was earlier invisibly consumed and wasted by the time wasting thoughts, desires, feelings, now it will, that wastage will decrease substantially, and as that wastage decreases substantially, we will be able to become more focused, more fulfilled, and we'll be able to gain time and do put better to better use all the time that we have. Thank you. Hare Krishna.